I'd like to show you the storyboard process that I use when I make linear e-learning presentations. I'll be using a short section from this lecture module that I made that deals with probability and risk. And the slide that I'll be using, number 6, is about 45 seconds long. The way I would start is with a script. This would be the voiceover narration that would be part of the project, and we're looking for slide number 6. So here's slide number 6. I'm reading through this to find out how I can support this content visually. And here I've got Pascal. He was a mathematician, so I could use a picture of him. And I have Isaac Newton, so I could use a picture of him. And we've got Einstein over here, and I can use a picture of him. And we've got most of science today. So we've got science today. We also have humans from the past who thought it was impossible to predict the future. This sounds like it could be a timeline to me because it goes through these folks up to science of today. So maybe that's the place to start. So what I do is I like to draw these things out and try different approaches to see which one might work the best. And so I sort of started with maybe a timeline that looks like a road, little lollipops that come up and maybe have pictures of the folks in them that match the dates. And then I sort of thought, well, maybe ribbons would work, where I have the dates on the ribbon with the name and the little person could pop up above. And then it looks like I went back to the idea of using the lollipops and the timeline with an arrow on the end going from the past to today. And then I thought, this is dealing with risk and probability, so maybe it would be fun to go with a game show wheel. And you got your numbers, the dates along the side of the game show wheel, and then you've got your little vignettes that happen inside the front part of the wheel when the arrow's on it. And I thought, well, if it's going to be a game show wheel, it might be fun to actually have a fun name for it. So the prediction is right was the name I thought. So with this, I have several rough ideas, and I kind of settled on the game show one and thought that might be kind of fun. So from that point, I take it to a more formalized storyboard, and I do this one in Adobe Illustrator, but it could be hand-drawn. So on this side, I've got the storyboard panels that tell you what you're going to be seeing. Here's the voiceover that will be read along with it, and then below I have some screen direction that tells you what's going on when you're looking at the changes. And it's broken up basically when there's a major screen change. Every time there's a major screen change, there's a new panel. So over here I've got Pascal. He's on the wheel in the 1600s. I've got my funny title in the background, and then I have what Pascal's deal is. Probability theory. Then in the next panel, it says the wheel ticks back to pre-Pascal in the ancients, and we have a picture of them in the 1400s, and they thought that predicting the future is not possible. So that's their deal. So over here I've got Isaac Newton and his deal, and I've got Einstein and his deal, and then people of today and how that affected. So that's how I've laid that out. And the great thing about this is that pretty much anybody could follow this and actually produce media from it at this point. It's the storyboard is so completely clean that, and it takes a lot of the guesswork out. And I think it's also a lot easier when you get to this point. If there's anything that's glaringly not working, you can kind of nail it at this point. So let's take a look at the final slide, the way that it would play in the e-learning piece.
Prior to Pascal's quantification of chance as an a priori probability, humans thought it was impossible to predict the future. Isaac Newton's laws of motion were too rigid to explain observations, but had a good run until Einstein discovered the probabilistic quantum world. Even Einstein was ambivalent and considered his discovery a big mistake. After all, why would God play dice? As it turns out, Einstein's big mistake is the basis of most of science today, including the best explanation for how computers work and how the universe was formed.
So that's what it looks like. And that leads me to my 3 tips. The first tip is, it's good to rough out multiple ideas and then kind of narrow it down to the one that seems to work best for your needs. I like to do this by sketching, and I think that's a pretty good way to go. My second tip is you refine the best idea that you've got into a storyboard that's so clean that just about anybody could make the media from it. And when you get to that point, it should be easy to discover things or if they're not working and fix them there. And then my third tip, and I think this one is really great, if you go back and you watch the original media piece with the sound turned off so there's no voiceover, if it still makes sense and you can follow along and you get the idea of that was trying to be conveyed from that original script, then I think you've won. So that's how I do my storyboards, and I hope you've enjoyed watching it.